Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. Today, we are going to tackle the Canadian rock, hard rock, pop rock band called Honeymoon Suite. And to help me do that, we've got Mr. Rich Catino in the house, Grant Arthur in the house, and Chad Hutchinson here as well. All fans of the band, good evening, gentlemen, or good afternoon, or good morning, wherever.
Morning.
Well, it's still morning where we are, but for
It's
those of
morning.
you watching, wherever you might be, hello and welcome to Ranking the Albums. So, how are you guys doing?
Good. It's finally
Ready
something.
to I'm just ready to talk music, ladies and
I know. Well, that's why we are here. We have been talking about doing this one for a while. We have one of those crazy Sundays where we have yet another double shot of album rankings show. So hopefully, if you were watching this one, you just saw the Night Flight Orchestra one that Simon Bray and I did just a few minutes ago. And no, we didn't record them on the same day because that would be kind of crazy, wouldn't it? No, we've done that before. In fact, right after this show gets done taping, I jump into talking jazz with Scott Berry about Thelonious Monk for an hour. So, it never ends, folks.
How do
Never.
you remember all this, Pete? How do you remember all this in one day? I can't
spreadsheet.
know how you do it.
Yeah,
Right.
spreadsheet. If I don't have that spreadsheet, Rich, see me the paper thing like you showed me before. I
All
can't
the
do that
notes?
anymore.
The
Yeah,
endless notes?
no, I can't do the notes thing. Maybe if I was only doing one show every other week or something like that, it'd be okay. But yeah, not now. It's just not possible.
It's just out
Spreadsheets,
of
and
control.
Google Docs, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, Honeymoon Suite. So this is a band that was. Anybody have any like factoids? When did this band form? This was 1983, right, or something like that. The
They
debut.
formed in 81 in Niagara Falls,
Okay, Niagara Falls over there.
Ontario.
That's
So that's hence where the name came from.
that's
And
right.
So
they hit the scene after winning a Battle of the Bands kind of thing on Q107 in Toronto. And that's where New World, I'm sorry, New World Man, wrong Canadian band. Uh, New Girl Now came from.
There you go. Yes,
I was going to say, don't I remember seeing it on MTV at the time around,
oh yeah, they played that all the
sure.
time.
right?
It's like one of those early ones that they were in
Yep,
rotation.
totally.
That's I think where I really got turned on to the band was through the MTV video.
Yes, that's the first time I
I
read.
had I had an interesting intro to this band. I worked at a movie theater near the end of high school, and it was in the lobby one day, and a guy I knew who was a year ahead of me walked straight up to me. He was a guitar player, also was a Rush fan. He walked up to me, didn't even say hello. He walked straight up and he goes, "Honeymoon Suite, the big prize, buy it," and he left. That
That's
was it.
pretty
That
direct.
was it.
That's probably a yeah.
It was a great suggestion.
Yeah, yeah. That's the
We
way to
will
do it,
see
right?
today, though. We
He
will
doesn't
see
mess
how
around, I
great it
guess,
is.
right? Yeah. So yeah, that was their first big hit. So it's an interesting catalog because technically they have eight full lengths, one EP that's almost a full length, but two of the studio albums are almost the same because one was a Canadian release, one was a European release that took half of the songs and added another batch of other songs that weren't on the original, right? So it's kind of a little on the wonky side. So what we're doing today is we're combining that album that Grant just showed and the European release on Frontiers Records. We're going to combine those into kind of one, and then we are going to include the EP in this ranking today. So we got eight for you. So we're going to rank them as we like them. And just to describe for those of you watching this who have no idea who Honeymoon Suite are, what they're all about, would you say hard rock band, pop
Pop rock more, I would
pop
say.
rock, right? I
Hard
mean,
rock, pop.
But there's
yeah,
always a strong guitar presence.
yes, yes. And that's the mainstays in the entire run of this band are the vocalist and the guitar player. They're
Right. Johnny
constant.
T and
And
Darian Graham.
one of the keyboard players is on the majority of the albums as well. But we'll kind of
Yeah,
talk about
he comes and goes.
yeah, he comes and goes, but
But they
he's
but but those three were primary, those were the songwriters pretty
yes,
much. But
yes,
Yeah.
Deary and Johnny pretty much always tag team and co-wrote everything.
right. And for those of you who have been paying attention out there in the music news, just when we made plans to do this, Frontiers Records announced they have a brand new Honeymoon Suite album coming out at the end of July. So no, we are not including that in the ranking today. And I'm sure once that new album comes out, we'll be getting comments on this video saying, where would you put that in the ranking? So most of us have given it like a cursory listen or at least heard a couple of the singles. It sounds pretty good, but because we don't have like access to the full thing, and it's not out for another almost 2 months. Where we've decided to hold off and just go ahead with the ranking, and the new album will just have to sit out there. So
It's called I Fly, right? I think.
Wake Me Up When the sun goes down. I Fly is the first single.
Oh, the first single, right?
Yeah. Wake Me Up When the Sun Goes Down.
Yeah, I saw Honeymoon Suite on the 80s cruise in March, and it's pretty much the classic lineup, except the keyboard isn't there.
Oh, he's gone again.
Right. Well, we've got a different gentleman doing keyboards, but he's also on this record. So he's been with them for a while.
Okay.
Ray came back for Clifton Hill.
Right.
I'm not sure what the deal is with him. He's kind of coming in whenever he wants, but it was pretty much the classic lineup on the ship, and you could tell that they did like a Q&A, and it just seems like they're just having a blast. They let whatever went on years ago, go, and they're just out playing, and you can tell that they're like revitalized.
That's good.
And they just have fun on stage, and it's Honeymoon Suite, ladies.
Well, their music is fun. I mean, that's what it's all about here,
And were they
mostly very summertime to me? When I hear Honeymoon Suite, I think of summer.
But they're mostly a Canadian success, right? They really never came to the States much or anywhere else around the world, right?
Very little.
Well, Big Prize was pretty big here, but then after that,
that was it.
Yeah.
Modern Success. I think this is a band, and we'll probably talk about this is a band where, as you go through the catalog, as we've done, getting ready for today, to me, it's a mystery why this band wasn't huge here in the States.
Yeah.
I just don't understand at all because
music
is tailor-made for radio.
Yeah, by the fourth album, this wasn't even released in the States.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Right.
I mean, it came out in Warner Brothers in Canada, but they didn't get I guess they gave up on them.
That's why it has such a nice glossy booklet.
Yeah.
And this one was produced by Ted Templeton.
Yeah.
Templeman, right?
Yeah.
You'd think this would have been big,
Yeah. Major label, great producer, it's a great sounding album.
And they recorded in LA too.
Yeah.
When everything was happening in 88, 89, 87, 88, 89.
Yeah. And they made a lot of appearances on soundtracks too over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't explain it.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll try and get to the bottom of it while we're ranking these and talking about them. So we're going to do 3 albums at a time. We're going to go three, and then our final 2 at the end. And we'll start off. We'll go Rich, Chad, Grant, and myself, and we'll go around a couple times. So, Rich, why don't you give us your 8, 7, and 6? If I do my math.
All right.
Yeah.
So, since we're considering one album, I got Dreamland and Lemon Tongue at the bottom of the pile. Don't like either one of those albums. That was 02 and 01.
Yep.
Right, depending on where it was released. So, yeah, that's Lemon Tongue. That's 2001, and then 2002 it came out European, right?
Yeah.
On Frontiers.
Yeah, Frontiers.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when I hear these songs, I think of the Singles movie soundtrack. That 90s alternative grunge thing going on, and they were jumping on the bandwagon, I think, like everybody else, I think of Collective Soul and STP and Candlebox and Oasis and all that kind of stuff. So not my thing at all. So those 2 are right there, the bottom of the pile. Can't say I like anything on that except for Just Love Somebody. It's a little more of a Honeymoon Suite rocker, and the title track for Dreamland. But other than that, I'm not digging it at all. Not my thing. Following the trends of the time, and doesn't work.
Okay.
What's next? So we're doing 3, right?
Yep. So number 7. Yep.
So I'm going with Alive, which is 2024 at 7. It sounds more like them, but an older band, more mature. It's okay. It's enjoyable. It's a little, I don't know. Also not so much my thing. I prefer their older stuff. It's got that, I wrote down that American rock radio rhythmic guitar thing happening. They hear, here. That's my 7. And 6, I went with the Hands Up EP because we were talking about doing that one, right? So I found that one enjoyable. It's kind of like acoustic jams, like Great White's Sail Away album, if anybody knows that album. And it's got a couple live songs too.
Yep.
So yeah, it's nice, laid back, chill kind of listen to of an album.
Yeah, we decided to include it because it's got like the 7 new tracks plus the couple live tunes, and
Yeah,
it's pretty much a full release at this point. So,
yeah,
and that was yeah, what year was that again? That was
2017.
yeah, that's right. So
So yeah, out of those the three albums we talked about, that feels more like a Honeymoon Suite album than the other two, I would say. Unless you like the more modern sound of Alive, you know.
yeah, I think Alive's a pretty good sounding album.
Good production,
Yeah.
yeah.
So whether you like the songs or not, cool.
Right.
All right, Chad, your bottom three.
Okay, I'm going to start right where Rich left off with Hands Up. I find this relatively unremarkable. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel as much like Honeymoon Suite. The big choruses aren't there. There's some songs that even have, if you put it in different hands, it could almost be country songs, like
Yeah, I noticed that too.
like the Stars. Very much could be out on a country tour somewhere. I thought 1986 is okay. Kind of talks about their heyday with the big prize. Um, the title track's okay. The guitars really push back in the mix in that one. Like you're not getting the Derry Green riffs on this that I enjoy. Um, so yeah, that was easy for me to pick at the bottom of the list. And putting 2 classic live songs on there was kind of cheating, so I didn't count as part of my.
They fill out the album right.
Next up is the combo of Dreamland and Lemon Tongue. It was 10 years between Monsters Under the Bed and Lemon Tongue, from 91 to 01. Or no, I can't. Yeah. And they went from sort of their classic sound to what I said. What I wrote down is Lemon Tongue's the first one of their albums that starts to have that strummy vanilla feel. Now, I don't think they ever wrote a bad song. I can listen to any of their albums and be fine with what they're doing, but this one doesn't have this combo. There's not nearly as many hooks and riffs. Like the song Lemon Tongue's okay, isn't bad. I would say on Lemon Tongue, the best song on there is Don't Make Me Want You.
Oh yeah.
Touch the Sun is a nice song that actually made their live set at one point. Lagavulin, I have no idea what that means, but that's another one. It's not bad, but it has a country leaning. Knew You Win is a good. It's like an upbeat 90s song, like Rich was talking about. It kind of uses the sound of the times, and there's a really weird sound in it that comes up every once in a while. And then the bird nerd in me thinks it sounds like a yellow legs, lesser yellow legs flying by. It's a shorebird. It's a very weird noise to hear on a song. And it ends with a nice acoustic ballad. They seem to end a lot of their songs with slower songs, Into Me, Into You. But Dreamland, like I go through and I highlight the songs that stand out. I only have one bold on that, and it's the cheat on the album, and that's Still Loving You, which came from their greatest hits album back in '89, which is a great song. It's classic Honeymoon Suite, and it's slapped on Dreamland, and it doesn't meld with the rest of them. It stands out like a bright flower amongst sort of like dead grass. Radiant's a nice song. I like that one. Again, this one ends with another ballad in Even Now. Not a bad song. It's very classic HMS kind of stuff. Just Love Somebody isn't bad. Decent riff. But yeah, that number 7 is definitely the combo of these two sort of vanilla-ish albums. And then my number 6, Rich and I are picking from the same pot here. Alive. This is a jump, I think, from those other two. There's one quality of the album that I'm not thrilled with. There's a couple songs on here that have that sort of 4/4 bass drum stomp. It's just this kind of thing. And one of them, which song is it? Done Doing Me. I swear that could be a Justin Timberlake song.
Oh
Listen to that again with different ears. You can say, yeah, Justin Timberlake could sing that song.
I'm just amazed that Chad knows what Justin Timberlake sounds like, because I don't think I could
No, I don't either. Yeah.
pick him out of a lineup if I heard him.
I'm an enigma.
I don't know if that's good or bad, gentlemen.
Well, he's funny when he's on TV shows. I'll give him that. But like that stomp kind of thing, it's on Done Doing Me. It's on Tell Me What You Want, and it's on Broken.
What
And
doesn't it like sound like I said, like a contemporary American rock radio song, this album? A lot of them.
somewhat, yeah. I mean, there's some of they start to get a little bit of their flavor back.
Mm.
And even like Tell Me What You Want was released as a single in 2019. It didn't show up on an album for 5 more years. And what was the other? Find What You're Looking For, which is one of the best songs on there, was
Mhm.
released as a single in 2020. So two of these songs were sort of sent out to the fan base years before it showed up on an album.
Yeah.
But I'd say the two best on here are the opener, Alive, which is a really good but short track, and Find What You're Looking For is good. It's almost it's like a sequel in a way to one of the songs from an earlier album, and I'm sure I'll find it later on my notes. I have way too many notes on this. Give It All is a good rocker, and then again ends with a slow one and doesn't feel that way. But Alive is my number 6. Starts to get back to that feel. Hopefully, the new album continues in that direction. So
We'll see.
go.
I
All right,
can already
Grant, over
tell
to
this
you.
is going to, I already can tell this is going to be interesting. I can already tell.
Well, you're next, so let's see how interesting.
All right. All right. Well, this is my spiel on Honeymoon Suite. We've got a band, a legacy band that is still cranking. They almost have the same classic lineup that they had before. And I think that they're powering on all cylinders. I think the stuff that they're putting out now is just dandy, but we're going to look at it. So, you've got the latest Scorpions album. It's still great. Honeymoon Suite is still great. So this is how I look at it, though. There's not going to be a bad record amongst them. Now, I didn't consider the EP in the lineup, so I'm going to put that at my number 8. I'm going to agree with Chad on that. It's acoustic. It's an acoustic EP. It's not like a serious record as far as I'm concerned. So,
It's not full acoustic, but yeah, it's that.
but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
All right. So this I will agree with the other panelists. My number 7, I'm going to go with Lemon Tongue and Dreamland in 2002. And like everyone said, the European release that came out on Frontiers is basically the same album, except they dropped 5 songs and added 4 other songs. Okay. This is not a bad record by any means. I don't think so. But I don't dislike the production so much. It seems to be pretty open. Seems to be a lot more air around the instruments. The fans kind of looked at this with a mixed, opinion of it. It's a lot more artistic. So if you're looking for traditional Honeymoon Suite, this is a little bit outside that area because it's just really the duo of Denny and Derry and Johnny at this point. They're using studio musicians. The track Lemon Tongue, I kind of get like that later Aerosmith vibe. Doesn't really sound like Honeymoon Suite to me, but if you consider, like those later Aerosmith records, it's kind of in that area.
Yeah, the vanilla thing goes on.
Okay, the vanilla.
And are you getting that 90s like singles movie soundtrack vibe from all this?
Okay. But I still don't think it's bad. It's just a little bit outside the norm for Honeymoon
For
Suite.
them, yeah.
Gone is I think that's the most traditional Honeymoon Suite song on it. Into Me, Into You, you got strings, acoustic guitar. Johnny sounds great on it. It's a lovely track, but do we want, they do ballads really well.
Yeah.
The Way I Do, catchy songwriting, departure from traditional Honeymoon Suite. I put that in my notes. It's a decent song. When You Knew You When, heavy guitar, very fast paced. It just like what Rich was saying, this song to me seems to be more well suited for grunge, alternative type of stuff. It's still good though. None of this is bad, but all these have to land somewhere. So that would be my number 7. My number 6, and then this is where we're going to get controversial, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm going to go with Racing After Midnight 1988.
Whoa.
Well, and this is the reason why.
Huh.
Much more radio friendly. It seems like the big prize must have worn him out the way I listened to this record because I don't think the songwriting's quite as good. You got Ted Templeman producing, which is fine. He gives a much more open sound. Now, all the other Honeymoon Suite albums up until this point seem to be a lot more, I don't want to say dark, but maybe more compressed, but not in a bad way, though.
It's not punchy like this,
Not
It's
quite.
not, no,
right?
uh, right. But I just don't think the songs are quite. I know the fans love this record, but this is the album that I turned to, well, other than Lemon Tongue, but this is I kind of ranked them on how I listened to them. It's okay, but I just think that they're trying too hard. Love Changes Everything. I wrote on here that this is a song that Ghost would love to do a cover version of. It sounds like Ghost to me. Like, they would go, God, that's a good killer guitar
Great
sound,
song.
good
Great
songwriting. You got a little bit of sprinkling of Queen when that guitar riff ends. It ends like on a Queen song, which I thought's kind of good. It's probably best thing out there. Looking out for number one. Not it. This isn't Cheap Trick, ladies and gentlemen. Got a crunchy riff, good solo, vocals are up front. I think what drives me crazy about this record is I don't think I like the mix of it. For some reason, the mix drives me crazy, and it's pretty damn commercial. I mean, it's them trying to. We got one last shot, boys. Let's
Mhm.
try to get another hit, the big prize. We can do better, but it just seems like they're trying too hard. Cold Luck, you got keyboards. Oh, this is where we have problem. This is where the Yamaha DX7 comes into play. A lot of digital synths on here, and the Yamaha DX7 drives me nuts. The older albums, we
That
got
time period.
analog, they got analog synths. Analog synths, great. Digital synths, bad. So I don't like that. It's Over Now is another ballad. Fits in that late 80s thing. Catchy songwriting, should have been a hit. I don't know. My copy was a cutout. I think a lot of these ended up in the cutout bins. And then I think it ends on Lethal Weapon. Now, if you get the Rock Candy CD,
Right. It's not on there.
no Lethal Weapon. So you got to get the Warner Brothers CD. So this, as you can tell, this was in the movie Lethal Weapon, another ballad, and it's great. Also, I wanted to mention that the song Long Way Back, you have Michael McDonald on it. For all you Michael McDonald fans, Michael's on this record.
everywhere.
Anyway, I just don't feel this record. I'm not sure Ted Templeman was the right guy for it. And it is what it is. But this is like one of my least favorite Honeymoon Suite records. So there you go.
All right. Well, more on that later, right? As we like to say.
I'm sure it'll be number one for someone.
You never know. You never know. All right, my number 8, I'm going to go with the Lemon Tongue Dreamland combo from 2001, 2002. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think if you take the best of these two albums and put them together, you don't have a bad release. As it is, though, to me, there's a lot of blandness going on both of these records. I think the title track "Lemon Tongue" is quite good. I like the Rockers. What I know is pretty memorable. So hard, I don't really care for much. I think "Don't Make Me Want You" might be my favorite song across the both of them. That's a really good hard rock track. I love the vocals, love the guitars. Just Love Somebody. That's really cool. Radiant, I like quite a bit. Um, Knew You When, that's got some good energy, but Still Loving You has a nice chorus, but it's kind of bland. Yeah, Langoovalin, yeah, or however the hell you say that, I'm not really sure what that's all about.
Yeah.
So Hard is kind of bland. I don't know. It's not a terrible album or albums, I should say, but there's a lot of blandness on here, and I think both Chad and Rich mentioned this vanilla thing, and that's what it is. It's almost like it's kind of faceless, like it could be anybody. I'm not hearing enough of like the classic Honeymoon Suite stuff going on here, but it's not awful. Like I said, there's good stuff on the both of them. Put them together, and you got a pretty decent thing there.
And the
I
artwork
asked the other,
goes along with that too. They're both covers aren't even very good.
No, yeah.
and like I asked the other guys, do you hear that grunge, post-grunge thing going on with a lot of the
There's like a
songs?
90s feel in general.
Yeah,
So if you
totally.
don't really like 90s production or 90s kind of styles, yeah,
Songwriting, yeah.
there's plenty.
Strummy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My number 7 is going to be Hands Up, the EP thing. All right. I don't think this is bad. I think the title track is catchy, enjoyable song. Like the Stars, I do agree. It's kind of it's got some nice acoustic guitar. It's kind of country in spots. I also feel like when they come into the chorus and the electric guitar comes in, I hear like some kind of sticks vocal harmonies, but there is like a modern country feel that kind of permeates some of this stuff here. Never Was a Forever. You hear it there too. Big memorable chorus. Market Square, I don't like at all. One Step Closer is decent, but it's kind of generic. Hey Deanna is total like pop, right? 1986, that's a pop song also, kind of country. It's kind of dated to me, but the live versions of Burning in Love and New Girl now are pretty cranking on here, but we don't like to count that stuff. I think it's okay. It's not bad. It's for what it is. It probably they had some leftover tracks and they put these things together pretty quickly, but it's okay for what it is. That's my number seven. And my number six is going to be Clifton Hill from 2008, their seventh album. I have the revisited version of this, and I guess that's because it's got a couple of acoustic tracks on it from reissue. But this one brings back three of the classic members. So whatever his name is, I forget his name on keyboards.
Ray Coburn.
Ray Coburn, he's back here, and they were also working with their original manager, who also was their producer. So he's on board here again too. The House is a good, catchy hard rock number. Griffola totally kicks ass. I mean, I love that. That's All You Got. Good high energy, nice hook on the chorus. She Ain't All Right. It's got kind of like a Van Halen feel to it. Good guitar licks. I like that. Sunday Morning, more of a pop song, pretty good. Tired of Waiting on You. Separate Lives, again, kind of good pop songs. There's a bunch of other tracks here that are kind of mellow for me and don't really push the needle much for me. But I think what I like on here, I really do like quite a bit. And I think it's a pretty solid record from them. So yeah, that's my number six, Clifton Hill. Back to Rich.
All right, so my five is Clifton Hill from 2008. So with this one, I thought they got back more of their rock roots, right? Their rock song arrangements. She Ain't All Right. I wrote down Tired of Waiting on You. It's got that kind of post 2000s Bon Jovi kind of yeah vibe thing going on, which I hate. Because I don't like Bon Jovi post Keep the Faith. Everything is terrible. What else did I write down? Riffola, not bad, good riff. Separate Lives kind of reminds me of later Cinderella, that bluesy guitar thing happening. But this album is kind of, even though it's returned to more rock, and I wrote down it feels like Goo Goo Dolls and Matchbox 20, which is also not my thing. Like if you listen to Sitting in the Garden, that song Sitting in the Garden, I was like, this is just like those bands. So it's like half, I half like it, I half could throw it out. So that's my five. Four, going with Racing After Midnight. That's my four. I like it, but like Chad, like you were saying, I mean, Grant, the production, it's not punchy, beefy, kind of like the previous couple albums. Songs are enjoyable. Looking Out for Number One, I kind of like. It's good, fun rocker. Other Side of Midnight too. I wrote down Long Way Back. Cold Look was actually, did you guys know it was a ballad MTV video too?
Oh, they had a video for that?
Yeah, they had a video for that one, and Love Changes Everything.
That I remember, yeah.
That was another promo. It was in that big warehouse. If you watch the video, you could tell between that song and Looking Out for Number One, they were trying to go for that big production value, like a lot of the bands were doing at the time. They
Like
definitely
the Def Leppard thing, kind of, right?
Yeah, definitely invested some money in there, trying to be a little more successful. But yeah, it's enjoyable. So I put this at my four. I like it. Just could sound better, a little bit more production on the guitars in the mix instead of, because if you listen to the first three albums, keyboards really overpower a lot of the guitars sometimes too. The riffs are there, but a lot of them just get washed out by the keyboards. So that's why I put that one at number four.
Rich, that's a good point. I think that might be the thing. I think the guitars need to be up in the mix more, and they're not.
Yeah. And they're not edgier. They're not edgy enough, I mean, like Big Prize and the first album. They're a little bit smoother and cleaner and not as edgy as Big Prize in the first album, right?
100%.
So it kind of works, but I prefer, the first two albums as opposed to that sound wise. And then where we at?
3.
3. So 3 is Big Prize. Go with that one. That's my number 3. Like I was saying, it's got a bigger production. I like the way it sounds. Terrible artwork, by the way. Could have done a better cover than that.
Like Hypnosis.
It's just
Yeah, I would say most of the covers are not very good, but
There's a rumor. There's a rumor that the kid in the tux is the same kid that's on the cover of Power Windows. I don't know if that's true.
really,
huh. So yeah,
Might
Big
be.
Prize,
Huh.
bigger production is more punchy. Feel It Again is so catchy, right? They even play that song on Hair Nation, Deep Cuts. I'll hear it sometimes. They'll play that song.
that is one of the best songs of the '80s, man.
Yeah,
100%.
very catchy. You can hear it in any movie soundtrack. You know, you could put it in any 80s movie, right?
That's a track that I can listen to over and over again and never get tired of. If it would pop on the radio, I would listen to the whole thing. It's kind of like when Renegade comes on. I always listen to Renegade,
Oh yeah.
even though they play it. I never get tired of it.
When Chad turned me on to this album a couple months ago, and I went out and bought it immediately, I remembered how much I liked "Feel It Again," and I hadn't heard it in forever. Whenever I listen to, sometimes I listen to that song like 3, 4, 5 times in a row. I just can't get enough of
100%.
it. I play it
Yep.
over and over again. I'm like, I like this even more than I did back in the day. It's crazy.
You know what? Another songs like that, "Burn in Love" too, from the first
That's
album.
really good, also. Yeah.
Love it. That's another one that was a single in the video.
Yeah.
And by all means, avoid the video for Feel It Again.
Oh yeah, it's awful, but you know.
It's almost paper cutout.
And you know something? That's a good point too, because how much you want to bet if they put more money into that video and made it better than it was, that would have been an absolute smash song, way bigger than it got. I don't think that video did any wonders at all. You know.
Well, on the 80s, because they were talking about, and Johnny was going, I hated the whole process of
Yeah,
it.
I'm sure he did.
He said it was the dumbest thing on the
And
planet.
it's
That
so
video.
cheap looking, right? I mean, it's just
So
like,
And he
it's
just felt like an idiot when he was doing it.
no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
That's a shame because that should have been a massive song, massive.
it showed up in episode 20, season 2 of Miami Vice.
Oh,
Wow.
huh.
See that?
There you go.
Yeah. Well,
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, Rich, didn't mean to derail.
That's all right. That's all right. So what else did I write? Lost and Found. Like I was saying before, the keyboard kind of takes over the arrangement. What Does It Take cashes in on the ballad at the time. I really like One by One. It's one of my favorites. That keyboard guitar combo. Wounded has more guitars. I really like that. Words in the Wind and All Along You Knew. Do you guys hear? I keep hearing like bands like Cutting Crew and Aha and Simple Minds, right? Do you get that from Honeymoon Suite? They got that 80s
They have that 10
undertone, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of their
I don't know
songs.
if
So I hear that.
But I always felt they did it so much better than everybody else.
They did, totally. But I'm just saying I hear that in some of their music, which is
That's
great.
why I think a band like this can appeal to like folks who are into hard rock and folks who are into that
Yes.
style of music because they have that
Right.
little pop element going on in their music.
That 80s top 40 thing happening.
Yeah.
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 100%.
And then what else? Once the Feeling, I wrote down Bryan Adams. I get Bryan Adams vibes too.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know?
You don't get any Loverboy vibes out of this band?
Oh, that's the other band.
Oh yeah, of
Dude,
course.
totally. You're right. I was thinking of who else do I hear in this band? And it's Loverboy. Yep.
Yeah.
Especially the interplay with the keyboards and the guitar.
Yep.
No tight red leather pants. That's all.
Yeah.
No, but the cheesy 80s videos. Yes, that's
Checks that box.
All right, cool. Chad, what do you got for 5?
All right, number 5. My turn for a little controversy. I'm going to go with the debut.
Whoa,
Now-
really?
Yeah, and now the New Girl now obviously is great. Burning in Love is great. Stay in the Light is great. Despite the title, Funny Business is a good song. Wave Babies is okay. It's the chorus is kind of weak, and the lyrics actually mention water sports. I know they're not meaning what we think they're meaning, but they says the word water sports. Let's not go there. The song It's Your Heart sounds a lot like Night Ranger's Secret of My Success.
That's what I wrote down. Totally.
Uh,
I can hear Night Ranger.
and
Absolutely.
I mean, just about every song does have a memorable riff on here, but I feel the second half of the album could be on any 80s soundtrack. Every song is built for a soundtrack, every one of them. And they actually had a B-side. They released "Stay in the Light" as a single, and they have a live B-side called "We've Got the Night." It was okay. I don't know why it didn't make the album. It was probably good enough to make the
Was
album.
it on the Rock Candy reissue? Does anybody know? Did they put that on as a bonus track?
Which one?
I don't. I just have the Warner Brothers CD.
Which song was it?
Was there any bonus tracks on it?
It's called
No.
"We've Got the Night." You can see it.
No bonus tracks on the rock. Oh wait, hold on. I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry. Let's see. Yeah, what's the name of the song again?
"We've Got the Night."
Yeah, they have a live version of it on the
Yeah, that was the B-side to the "Stay in the Light" single.
yeah. Yeah, it's on the Rock Candy reissue.
Very nice.
But I mean, it's got some very strong parts, and it's got some very generic 80s soundtracky parts. And that's kind of where I put it here. I still like the album, don't get me wrong. I mean, everything from my number 1 to my number 6, I think are good. So we're starting to get into minutia. But if I had to put anything at number 5, it's the debut. Sorry. So let's see. And then my number 4, I'm going Clifton Hill. I felt this was a bit of return to form. I like the edge of it. It's very front loaded. I will say that. I like the first 5 songs. She Ain't All Right, Tired of Waiting on You, Ruffola, Ordinary, which is very different for them. That's a very cool song. And The House. All 5 of them, I think, are strong. That's All You Got is also good. That's on the quote unquote second side. Some of these other ones are a little generic-y. But I just thought the strength of the first half of this put it just above the debut for me. Plus, it's a little more modern sounding. Obviously technology improves and they improve as players and all that. But I have a couple notes here. House is a very nostalgic thing. They're talking about Clifton Hill and where they live together and all that kind of thing. Not unlike what 1986 does. The song Sunday Morning, I wrote down, that has a bit of a Smashing Pumpkins vibe, which was odd. I don't know. It just had a sort of a weird mood to it. And that's all. Yeah, That's All You Got. I have just a very memorable chorus. And Riff Roll is probably one of the most kick-ass riffs they have on any of their albums. Oh, yeah. That just comes right at you. It's great. And then Ordinary, like I said, I think it's one of the best, or maybe their best ballad. Really good song. And then my number 3, an album that has not been mentioned yet at all, Monsters Under the Bed. So that's the album after Racing After Midnight, and the first one after their singles collection in '89. So this came out in '91. Again, relatively front-loaded. There's a heavier edge to this than the first 3 albums. As Grant said, it didn't get released in the States. He had to get it from Canada. That's why it has a nice glossy booklet. Say You Don't Know Me is a classic Honeymoon Suite song. Great opener. Bring on the Light is great. It's got a nice acoustic intro, and then it's got a cool heavy riff. If You Love Me doesn't do a lot for me. More of a blues rock kind of thing. The Road is a really nice song, and it was actually their last single until they released one in 2019. So big gap there. Little Sister's a cool song. It's got a great guitar solo. Just a really mean solo by Derry Grant. And How Long is a really good song. I thought that's one of the best songs on this album. And that's where Find What You're Looking For from Alive, right? Alive. I felt like this is like prequel to Find What You're Looking For. Their messages seem to relate to each other. Next to You's good, needs a bigger chorus. For me, Honeymoon Suite's got to have the big chorus. We'll talk about more later. Probably the one detriment to this album is that it's long. There's 12 songs. It's 56 minutes. Every one of their other albums is 45 or under. Even Clifton Hill has 12 songs, and it's still 45 minutes, maybe even less. I forget. But yeah, this one clocks in at 56 minutes. So it's a little bit longer of a listen, especially for your pop rock, hard rock stuff.
Welcome to the CD era, right?
Exactly.
Welcome to the
Exactly right.
90s.
That's exactly right. Um, and this was produced by Paul Northfield, which is cool. You know, he's a well-known name in the rock and the rock genre. Um, so yeah, that's my number three. Monsters Under the Bed, solid outing, a little bit heavier.
Yeah, I would agree.
At least Paul Northfield didn't destroy the production on this like he did on Paper Trails. Just want to make that notion.
I don't think that was his fault. I think that was mastering.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Part of it was mastering.
No, because they remastered it and they still couldn't fix it. They recorded it all with digital. Everything was in the red. Come on, that's digital distortion.
It was bricked.
Not mastering on that. No, it wasn't. Anyway,
On
another note,
what do you got, Grant?
all right, my number 5, I'm going to go with Alive from 2024. This continues where Clifton Hill left off. You got 10 tracks with 2 bonus tracks, and it's only 38 minutes. Thank the Lord, because we don't need like Monsters Under the Bed with 2 hours worth of songs. Yeah. But this is the classic lineup, sans Coburn. So we've got Peter Nunn on keyboards, which he does a great job. I like this record quite a bit because they're a legacy band, but they're still putting out quality material. There's good songwriting. The production's fine. There's some hoopla online. Speaking of loud mastering, a lot of these Frontiers records are brick-walled, and this one's pretty brick-walled, but it's not too bad. But there's some people bitching about it. Alive. I listened to that song and I'm going, gee, was that on the big prize? No, but it could have fit on there. Done Doing Me, heavy, accessible. Classic Honeymoon Suite of the 80s, only in just 2024. I like it. Great stuff. Tell Me What You Want, keyboard, start the track. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of keyboard songs like on Honeymoon Suite Records. It's catchy, it's anthemic. I have no problems. Give It All. You've got what a great guitar riff for one. There's some great guitar parts on this record. But I detect a little bit of gang vocals, and I just kind of like that because it kind of scared me a bit. Not bad though. Anyway, doesn't feel this way. A damn power ballad in 2024. Why not? Who else is doing it? They're doing it, and I think it's got good
results. The old band.
I'm in.
I can mention one band. Can I mention one band that does it?
Wasp?
No. You're talking about a newer band, right? A power ballad.
Well, I'm talking about anybody.
Oh, yeah. There's a band called Heat that does really good power ballads.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Anyway,
you might like them, Grant, actually. They're good band.
What is it? Heat?
Heat, yeah.
The singer was Eric Gromwald, who sang with Skid Row for an album and a tour.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, very melodic rock stuff. Yeah, it's
awesome.
And then let me just end it with that Love Comes sounds like 1986 to me. And I said a lot of legacy bands could pull this off. It's a strong record. Is it as good as the earlier stuff that we might get to? Your mileage may vary. I don't know. All right, my number 4, I'm going to go with Clifton Hill. Now, this isn't the classic lineup, but you do have Ray Coburn back, and he's the one that wrote Feel It Again. So the guy's got some songwriting chops. So we've got the 3 basic songwriters here. This sounds like a return to their classic sound. It doesn't miss the beat from the 80s when I hear it. I think it's top notch. Tired of Waiting, Highlight. That's like the first single that they released on the radio. Melodic, strong chorus. It's classic Honeymoon Suite. Honeymoon Suite. I want good sounding keyboards. I want a good guitar riff. I want Johnny doing a great vocal performance. And damn it, I want strong choruses and I want hooks. This album, I feel like I could ride around in 1986, shoot the loop in beautiful Marion, Ohio on a summer evening. Riffola. Great riff. I will give you that for that song. She Ain't Right. Fan favorite. Energetic, catchy hooks. Could have been on the big prize. Ordinary. Again, a power ballad. These guys can do power ballads. In 2008, hey, why not? I dig it. The house, solid AOR, great riffage. And I wrote on my notes, I said, God, is this 1984? So there you go. That's my number four. My number three. Oh my God, this is such a good record. And I don't find this to be long, even though it is. But Monsters Under the Bed. This, they got back to, well, they're down to a three-piece at this point. And I think this was a reaction over Racing After Midnight. They're going, oh shit. Oh no. Because this is damn near as good as anything else that they put out. Um, Came out in 91. Yeah, it might be a little bit long. Okay. But it's them supported by session musicians. So Say You Don't Know Me. Excellent. Honeymoon Suite. This is classic sounding Honeymoon Suite. It's as good as anything that they released. It's top notch. If you love me, crunchy guitar, organ, wonderful. The Road and How Long. I'll just say this: if you like classic Honeymoon Suite, you will not be disappointed. I think they're firing on all cylinders. I know it's not the classic lineup, but man, it could pass for that. And highly recommend it. Go check it out. And it's a shame that this was never released in the States. A shame.
One of those great injustices, right?
It is. I'm still grieving over it.
30 some odd years later.
100%.
Grant, get over it already. Come on, man.
I'm still not over Vapor Trails. Though I did see him on that tour, and it was great.
It was a great show.
Winter Rush, not great, right?
True.
I've never not seen a bad Rush show.
That's right. All right, my number five is Alive from 2024. I like this album. I think the opening title track is great. I mean, we just talked about the big, bright, soaring chorus, right? Good amount of guitar, great vocals. It's just got all the stuff you're looking for. Find What You're Looking For is also really good. Just a great, catchy melodic rock song. Done Doing Me rocks. It is kind of silly. It's got that big thumping groove. Tell Me What You Want. Good hooks. Good pop rocker. Give It All cranks. Living Out Loud is also pretty robust. I think this album, why I like it so much, I think it's got a lot of guitar energy and a lot of energy all together. Yeah, there might be a couple tracks that like kind of sound a little generic, but I think there's some really good stuff here. And Broken is ultimately very, very memorable. I forget which one of you mentioned it, but the songs are like short. It's a short album. Everything's very concise, punchy.
38 minutes.
I like it. I like the production of it. You know, it's typical of what you get from Frontiers releases, but I don't mind it at all. I think it's pretty good. And it sounds like Honeymoon Suite in 2024. Can't really go wrong with that. So that's my number five. My number four is going to be the debut album. So, and I'm going to kind of hit on some things that Chad pointed out. So I think first of all, it starts off great with New Girl Now, which, you know, was kind of like a modest hit modest hit here. I think it did a little better up in Canada. Really good, chunky, hard rock song, killer chorus. Burning in Love is great too. I mean, that also should have been a hit. So good. Wave Babies is kind of interesting. Does that remind you guys of like Duran Duran a little bit?
Yeah.
I wrote that down. You took the
Just
words out
wait,
of my
Pete.
mouth.
Just wait. Just wait.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, you know, Stay in the Light, that's more of a pop song. Now That You Got Me is a little grittier. It's a good rocker. Funny Business also rocks, got a memorable chorus. I don't like the way the drums sound on this album at all. I think that's one of the reasons why I rank it down a little bit lower. It's kind of boxy to me and just kind of sterile sounding, but there's lots of cool guitars on here. Heart on Fire is total 80s rock cheese, but it's really good. Turn My Head is good. It's Your Heart, I like. Face to Face, kind of bland, but it's okay. I think to me, this album is a little on the slick side. And I don't like the drum sounds, but there's some great tracks on here. I just think that my next couple albums I just like more, and that's just what it comes down to because all these first bunch of albums are really good. So that's my number four, and my number three is going to be where is it? Monsters Under the Bed. Oh, wrong one. Sorry.
I was going to say that's not it.
There it is, right there. Yeah, I really like this album a lot, and I think it's probably the most high energy album from them. You know, it's basically the trio with a bunch of session musicians, like you mentioned, but there's some great stuff on here. Say You Don't Know Me is just so memorable. Love the smoking guitar riffs. The solos are great. Bring the Light is pretty heavy, good guitars, good organ. If You Love Me, that's to me sounds like a heavier Bon Jovi from the same time period meets like Sammy era Van Halen, which I'm okay with both of those things, right? The Road is decent. Little Sisters got some good metallic riffing on that. How Long is really well crafted. Come Let Me Take You There. That's memorable pop. I think everything on here is pretty memorable. Miracle, it's good. It's Only Love, not a big deal for that one. Next to You is pretty good. Standalone, I like quite a bit. It's got a great chorus. And then All I Wanted is interesting because it goes for more of like a bluesy hard rock sound, which they don't really do too often, but it's pretty good. I think it's a really solid record. I like it quite a bit. I can see anybody ranking this a little higher. I think it's just brings back the high energy Honeymoon Suite, which I really like a lot. And yeah, it's a shame that this really didn't do much of anything and didn't get a release here because I think it's really good. So yeah, that's my number three.
Did Rock Candy re-release that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's Rock
Their
Candy.
boat? Is there any extra material on it?
Nope.
That's just straight.
Yeah, straight up. But we're well worth having because as you normally get with the Rock Candy release, if I can get the damn booklet out, you get all sorts of
No extra tracks, nothing.
No extra.
loaded,
No.
no extra tracks, but loaded with cool information and photos and all sorts of stuff. So
I ordered it. I was hoping I was going to get it in time, but it didn't come yet.
oh,
So.
yeah. I find, did you order directly from the label, Rich?
Yeah, sometimes it takes a little longer.
They're pretty good.
They're pretty fast.
Yeah,
They're pretty fast with all things
About a
considered.
week.
It usually takes about 2 to 3 days to get out of the UK, and then you'll see it within like 2 days. So usually within 5-6 days you have it.
I'll probably get it today.
How many times has that happened in the past, right?
Right?
We'll go do a show together. I'm like, God, I ordered that CD and it hasn't showed up. Literally,
And it
we're
comes
done
day
taping,
after we're
and
done.
the mail comes. I'm like, oh man. It's like,
Yep.
Alive showed up for me yesterday.
see that? Well, perfect timing there. Perfect
Yeah.
timing.
Yeah, I ordered mine from, I think I ordered Alive from Frontiers. And it didn't take very long to get here either, which I'm just was surprised.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how sometimes you get stuff from the UK or whatever and it comes pretty
Yeah.
quickly? Yeah. Well, I just hope for the sake of next week's album ranking, Rich, that I get that third Malice album.
Malice?
I ordered it like 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, what is? But
Oh, the Rock
coming from
Candy,
Europe,
Rock
yeah.
Candy Malice.
Not for well, no, I have those, but they had a third album that came out in more
Oh,
recent
okay.
years, and I bought it on Discogs from some guy in Europe, and I haven't gotten it yet. I'm like, oh, so I still have a week, but I hope it shows up.
He's
But
worried.
yeah, the Rock Candy Malice ones are kick-ass.
Yeah, they sound awesome.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Yeah. Anyway, not to start talking about Malice.
There was a tangent, ladies and
That's
gentlemen.
another show, right? So let's finish up Honeymoon Suite. All right, back to you, Rich, for your 2 and 1.
So my 2 is Monsters. All the same things you said, and it's funny you mentioned all the songs I was going to mention. All the same things. I'll say Little Sister reminds me of. I'll mention some of the bands this album brings me to because I like this album a lot. Little Sister reminds me of like a Y&T song, later Y&T, like from something from like the 10 album.
Yeah, it's
That funky riff groove going on. All I Wanted reminds me of bands like Giant and Thunder and FM.
Ooh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then Next to You reminds me of that kind of a riff. Bands like South Gang, Bonfire, Got Hard. So it's not hair metal or anything like that, but it's that riffy hard rock that came later in the 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, that
Which
kind of like that European, like accessible hard rock that was pretty prevalent around that time.
Yeah, without the glam metal,
Right.
gloss or the sound or the production.
Yep.
But they were in the same family, So I wrote that down about those couple songs. And they lost the 80s keyboard sound by this album too, which is fine. It's still there, but it has more of like I think a Deep Purple-ish kind of feel.
I hear a little more organ on it.
Right? Yeah, more organ. Yeah, so it felt like a little bit of Deep Purple, different sound, and I like that too. It's fine. And what else? So I wrote down also Bon Jovi, Keep the Faith. Kind of reminds me of that album for them because you got the guitars are not heavy anymore, like Keep the Faith, straight ahead rock guitar sound and the piano sound. So like the song If You Love Me, that reminds me of the Keep the Faith album, which is really, I think, the last great Bon Jovi album. So I associate Monsters with that album.
Cool.
So that's my 2. And then I'm going with the first album for my number 1, because this is my introduction to the band. So I got to go with it, especially the first 2 singles. No Girl Now and Burn Your Love are 2 of my favorite songs. So I got to go with that. And you know what this album reminds me of too? When they started, it's kind of like Aldo Nova meets the Romantics, which I think that combination kind of cool, you know?
Interesting to bring up Aldo Nova, fellow Canadian, right?
Right? But
Aldo
yeah,
Nova's going to be playing here in Ohio here shortly.
Yeah, he tours
He's out
around
on
all the
tour.
time.
yeah, yeah. And you know what's cool too? If you have the vinyl, you see that shot there? That's on that Clifton album too, on the cover.
Oh,
So he's
yeah.
close.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
it is.
you guys know anything about this? Like, what's Castle Dracula? Was it a haunted house that you could walk through? Like, what was it?
It might have been. It must be like a something in. Maybe it was in. Niagara Falls area. I'm assuming because Clifton
know.
Hill's Niagara Falls.
It's a big
Yeah,
tourist
yeah.
place,
Ontario.
so yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Like Castle Dracula was a haunted house in Wildwood, New Jersey
Yeah.
for many, many years. And I thought it was kind of cool, you know, that this coincides with that later record, the Clifton record, you know. But yeah, I still like this album. I always go back to it. It was my introduction to the band. Those two singles are great.
Castle Dracula is a wax museum in Niagara Falls.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Haunted house wax museum.
How cool is that?
Cool. And what else? A couple other songs I wrote down, like Heart on Fire. You take away the keyboards, it feels like a Pat Benatar song. What do you think? I like that.
Neil style riffing on there, I guess, you know.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah. Turn My Head reminds me of the Cars, another cool band I like. So I like that mix of the Cars, Romantics, harder rock of Aldo Nova. Yeah, so I'm sticking with this on my number
I think
one.
that also, you know, kind of cements our point about how this band had all these interesting elements coming together. So it's almost like they weren't heavy enough to appeal to the strict hard rock crowd. Maybe they were a little too rockin' to appeal to the pop and new wave crowd, right? But they did
Yeah.
all these little things very, very well, but they didn't really fit into any one bucket, right? Because I think here in the States, they were kind of lumped in with the hair metal bands, and they really weren't about that at
I
all.
don't think they were. I think they were more of like, I don't know, like a Cars or Romantics or like that Wave Baby song has that Duran Duran keyboard thing happening. So it's weird. They were such a weird mishmash of things happening on that first record.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right, so we got debut album at number one. Chad, which way are you going to go for 2 and 1?
All right, number 2 for me is going to be Racing After Midnight. I thought, you know, it rid the coattails of the Big Prize with the sound. Looking out for number 1, Other Side of Midnight, Love Changes Everything. Awesome songs. I like all those a lot. The strength of those songs really pushed this high onto my ranking. And Lethal Weapon, it was written by Michael Kamen, but they performed it. It was on during the credits of the first movie. But I just think it's a solid. I think it's a solid record. It has much of the feel of the Big Prize. There's a couple songs I'm not huge on. I really don't like Cold Look. It's not a bad song. It's not a great song. I thought the chorus of it was pretty weak. Long Way Back's a good song, but I thought it was a missed opportunity for another big chorus. They didn't bring it out. It kind of just flowed instead. Love Changes Everything, and here comes the all moment. When I made my wife a mixtape when we were dating, that song went on it. So there you go.
Cute.
Fast Company is actually a pretty good song. A very different kind of riff for them. It stands out as being not a sore thumb. It just stands out as being different from the rest of the album a little bit. Just the style of guitar riff that Derry uses there, and I can't delay it anymore. Number 1, as we know, it's going to be the Big Prize. It has to be the Big Prize. This is a phenomenal album from top to bottom. I like every song on it. Produced by Bruce Fairbairn. I've got a bunch of notes here. Bad Attitudes kicks the thing off with a nice heavy riff. That's another one that ended up on Miami Vice at one point. Feel It Again, one of the best songs in the 80s. As you guys said, you can just keep listening to the song over and over again. I did find the vinyl recently. Look, now I got 2 on the screen at the same time.
Cool.
Wounded is when I had the cassette tape. Wounded started side 2. Obviously on the vinyl it does too. But what a way to start the second side with like the chorus yell, and that's a song that gets stuck in my head. This album is full of earworms. Every single song on this album is an earworm.
And why was Wounded not pushed as a single? I
Ah,
don't
I,
understand that at all.
great.
What were the
Yeah.
singles from that album? Do we know?
What's that?
Um,
The singles?
Yeah, what were they?
I think Bad Attitude and
Bad
Feel It
Attitude,
Again.
Feel It
Feel It
Again.
Again, of course. What Does It Take?
Bad Attitude was first, then Feel It
Mhm.
Again. What Does It Take? And All
Yep.
Along You Knew.
Right. Yep.
And speaking of All Along You Knew, that features Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull on flute, which is a really strange combination. I don't know if it happened through Bruce Fairbairn or what, but um, pretty neat guest star on that.
Kind of
Uh,
works.
I think Once the Feeling could have closed this album. You know, they closed it with Take My Hand, which is a ballad, and it's not a bad song. I would say it's the weakest on the album, but Once the Feeling really has the feel of a closer. They
I
had
never
another
liked when
song.
bands close albums with ballads. I never
Yeah.
liked that.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially rock bands, hard rock bands.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good sequencing to end
No,
with a
not at
ballad.
all.
no.
Mhm.
And well, this right around this time, '86, they had another song, and it was called "Those Were the Days." It ended up on the soundtrack to The Wraith, which was a Charlie Sheen movie. Um, if you haven't heard it, go listen to it on YouTube. It is an incredibly good song. Easily could have fit on the Big Prize. Easily could have been put on the album after Take My Hand and closed it out. Really good song. Fits right in with the style of this. Big chorus, good riffs, the whole deal. I don't know if it showed up on anything besides their greatest hits in 2006 called Feel It Again. It's a 2 CD collection. There's like 6 unreleased songs, and they did a version of I Believe in Father Christmas on it. So there you go. But back to the Big Prize. It's one of my top albums ever. I just from the first time I heard it, I loved it, and just song after song on this just grabbed me with the choruses, the guitar riffs. I think the balance of keys and guitar on this is perfect. They never quite got this mix or this sound again.
Mhm.
So there are plenty of other good albums. This one for me stands head and shoulders above the rest of the catalog, and it's
Jazz,
just
did you know?
phenomenal album.
Sorry, did you know who was an engineer too?
I don't remember.
Bob Rock.
Oh yeah, Bob
Right.
Rock was the engineer.
Right.
So that's also why it's got a really good sound too. He did
Yeah.
Bon Jovi, Slippery in New Jersey, which have massive sounds. Those albums sound great.
I forgot he worked on this album too. Yep.
And
Yeah.
if you remember another soundtrack, you remember One Crazy Summer with John Cusack and Bobcat Goldthwait?
Yep.
Demi Moore. What Does It Take was on that soundtrack.
That's right. I just noticed that too. Yep.
Yeah. I got to go back and watch that stupid movie one of these days. But yeah, I can't recommend The Big Prize more highly. It's just a phenomenal pop rock, hard rock album, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Triple platinum in Canada sadly did not certify here.
I don't get it.
Missed
I
opportunity.
think I remember seeing Feel It Again on MTV, I want to say, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the Canadian bands, their singles and their videos weren't always played in America.
Right. I'm sure it was on Much Music a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, this band, like, as we said before, this band should have been a no-brainer here in the States.
No brainer. I don't get it.
They would have been perfect opening up for Bon Jovi for Slippery or New Jersey.
They opened for bands like ZZ Top, and they were.
Which makes no sense, right?
That doesn't fit. Yeah.
They should have been opening for it, like you said. They'd be great on Van Halen, Bon
Yeah.
Jovi. I mean, even like opening for like REO Speedwagon, any of those type of bands, I think would have been perfect.
Journey,
They
Styx,
opened
Journey,
Foreigner.
Styx,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Foreigner, all those bands. Yeah.
Yeah.
They opened for ZZ Top, Heart, Billy Joel. I'm sorry, Billy
That's a
Idol.
good one. That's a good one.
Idol, sorry. Journey, Brian Adams, Saga, Loverboy, Jethro Tull, and 38 Special.
What a mismatch there, Jethro Tull.
Well, maybe maybe he had stepped over and did All Along We Knew. All Along
80s Jethro Tull?
Cool.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Why not?
All right, so we got one first place vote for the first album, one for the big prize. Grant, which way you leaning here for 200?
All right. Night number 2. I am gonna go with the debut album. New Girl Now is quintessential Honeymoon Suite. Come on, that's what put them on the map. Now, I hear this production is very tight. I don't, it's an interesting dark, it's kind of dark sounding. I wouldn't want to use the term murky, but for some reason, it doesn't drive me crazy. And I think it fits the sound of the time or this band. I always thought that New Girl Now sounded very British sounding.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I brought that up on the cruise, and the band said, "Well, we've never heard that before. No one's ever brought
I
that
can
up
totally
before."
see that. It's the way
I
he,
said, "Well, you guys sound like a British band to
yeah,
me." And I don't know what they just never, no one ever brought it up. Anyway.
I totally hear that.
Burning in Love, catchy, very, and I wrote in there very much in the lover boy lane. Doesn't sound like lover boy, but it's, I totally could see
Sounds
them
like Honeymoon
opening.
Suite. Oh, it's totally Honeymoon Suite.
Right. Wave Babies, very new wave feel. I like the dark production. It sounds like Duran Duran to me, has that feel. This is a perfect blend of hard rock, pop rock, and new wave. That's what it is.
Mhm.
This is the only album that has new wave elements on it.
Correct.
Totally.
So I could see like what you were saying, Pete. People probably heard it and didn't really know what to do with it, you know. But I like it because it doesn't really sound like anything other than it doesn't sound like anything else that was released during this time period.
It was 1984. So what was on MTV in 1984 mostly?
Duran Duran.
Duran Duran, right?
So I get that. And Culture Club and all the
Cars.
second wave of the
Yeah.
British invasion. That's all you had. So I can see why they would have those elements in here, but I think they do it. I think it really works out well.
But they're from Canada. So what were they influenced by? Do we know? Did they say on the cruise?
Good
Like,
question.
what were they influenced by in 1984?
I didn't go into that. I didn't. We
If
didn't.
anybody
Go
from the
into
band is watching, please put it in the comments below because we would love to know.
What were you influenced by?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Stay the Light, another song I put a very new wave sounding, kind of quirky. But Honeymoon Suite has a unique tonality. Johnny's vocals very distinct. Dury's guitar sound. I'm in. So my number one, and I don't think I can say it any better than Chad said it. I'm gonna go with the big prize. This is quintessential. This is Honeymoon Suite. When I look in the dictionary, Honeymoon Suite album, this is the definite album. I can't add anything more to what Chad said. Chad said it perfectly. I'm just going to leave it there. I like everything about it. Not a weak song on it. Feel It Again is a stone cold classic. Can't get enough.
I mean, look, like I said, it crossed over to Hair Nation on deep cuts.
Yeah.
Right?
It's got a little something for everybody.
Yeah.
We
Little
should
something for everybody.
I just wish it would get more. God, I never hear it played on the radio anymore.
No.
Around here. Nothing. Honeymoon Suite, zip. In fact,
Once
it's
in a
really one
while-
of those bands just going by the wayside. They were never that big here anyway. I just wish maybe this will get people out there. This is what I'm hoping, panel. Please, everyone watching, go out and check out some Honeymoon Suite and give them some love. Really.
We should mention, by the way, that Derry Green is a very underrated guitar player
And songwriter.
I can
She
shred.
wrote most of this.
Great riffs.
Mhm.
He's a phenomenal player.
Right.
And for the most part, he's always produced very well on a good chunk of these albums. Notwithstanding occasionally when the keyboards are a little higher in the mix, but I think that he always sounds really good.
The thing I do want to mention on the big prize, I think Chad, you mentioned that I think that it's a good balance between the keyboards and the guitars.
Yeah.
And we've got analog synths on here, so I'm
Yes.
good.
Yep, I would agree.
When I'm looking at Big Prize, most of the songwriting is Grant and Derry.
Mhm.
Both of them, both names.
Yep.
Yep. Almost every song is Derry, yep, and Grant. And Ray Coburn.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think Ray wrote "Feel It Again," right? That's his.
Yep, Feel It Again and Lost and Found he's on.
Yeah.
Soul writing credit for that one.
Well, he wrote a winner with Feel It
Yeah,
Again. Ollie.
absolutely.
Totally.
All right, to finish this out, my number 2 is "Racing After Midnight." I like it quite a bit. I don't know how much more I can say that hasn't already been said. A lot of great songs on here. I think, to me, "Love Changes Everything" it also should have been a huge hit, and I think next to "Feel It Again," I think "Love Changes Everything" is their other kind of like must-hear song in this catalog. It's just so good. Looking out for number 1. great guitar-oriented anthem. I love that a lot. Real catchy. Long Way Back is really good. A lot of great songs on here. Yeah, the Lethal Weapon track. eh, it's like whatever. It's almost. I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest with you, and I don't even. I'd like to have it on. I wish it was on this release, but do I miss it? Maybe not. But yeah, really, really good album. I don't really mind the Ted Templeman production too much. I think it's not as robust as what you hear on my number one, but I think it's not too bad. And of course, The Big Prize is my number one as well. Yeah, it's a great album. Love the production of it. There's just one like mega song after another. I mean, Bad Attitude is so good. I mean, you don't get much better than the 1-2 punch of Bad Attitude and Feel It Again.
Yeah.
It's just so
Yeah.
good. But there's What Does It Take is great. Lost and Found is great. Take My Hand probably is my least favorite song on here. And again, I agree. Why end the album on that note? But everything else is just top notch. Great hooks everywhere. Big guitars, big keys, soaring choruses, hooks to die for. Yeah, the cover sucks, but whatever. I think it's a really, really great album.
But it's a total 80s album, but it's
Totally
total
is.
80s in a good way.
Yes.
And it totally sounds like what Honeymoon Suite is supposed to sound like.
Yep.
Exactly.
And don't forget to check out Those Were the Days. It fits right in there.
Cool. We'll definitely have to do that. Yeah. So, be on the lookout, folks, in just about 2 months or just shy of 2 months for the brand new Honeymoon Suite album, which will be released on Frontiers Records. I'm sure you'll get a review from it here on the channel, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, down in the comments below, if you know the whole catalog, rank them as you like them, or if you just know a couple, rank them as you like them. If you've never listened to any of them before, I think you've got lots of great places to start with the catalog, right? There's at least three. Well, I think all four of us would probably say that the easy place to start is with that album right there.
Mhm.
100%.
You really can't go. I mean, you have to the first four albums for sure.
Yeah.
Without question. But really good stuff here, and even some of the latter stuff is really good. So yeah, so let's just go around the room. I was gonna say around the room, around the Zoom. Rich, what's new with you over at Brave Words and Bloody Knuckles, Metal Asylum, Metal Hall of Fame? Anything new coming out for you on your side?
Couple of vinyl reviews I'm going to do. That new Dream Theater part 2 came out with the records. I was sent that, so that's cool. I'm going to review that. Do you know Deco Entertainment?
Yes.
They're a label too. They just are reissuing Slaughter's Revolution album and the first Angel album. So those are on the way. I should be reviewing those very soon. So that's the most recent for me.
Cool. Sounds good. Grant, what's going on at the warehouse and on
what's not going on?
Contrarian?
On the Contrarians, I just threw up. Martin's been on a tangent, making so much content that we can't keep up.
I see that.
I
Last
love
night,
this new video he did, by the way, on the 90s hair metal albums that are not hair metal albums post. I think it was called.
I didn't work on that one. I don't know.
Okay.
But I did put up the Black Sabbath ranking the albums of Black Sabbath by production. I put that up last night. So I did put that one together. I can't keep track of what he's doing. Marco edits some and I edit some. It's like a production line. So he's doing that. I'm sure he's probably made 4 videos already today that I need to work on. On the warehouse, I just did a one and done episode. We looked at Beck, Bogart, and a piece, and that was a fun thing. And did a zombies ranking. Getting ready to work on Rand Kelly and I just did a ranking of Argent. So that'll be coming up pretty soon. So all kinds of things going on. So yeah.
Sounds good. And of course, you'll see Chad and I here on Sea of Tranquility on various things, right? Coming up, we got to get Chad involved in another ranking episode in the not too distant future. So I'm sure he'll be up to it, right?
Of course.
Cool. So what do we got coming? So like I said, 1 week from today, Mr. Catino and myself and John Gaffney will be ranking the albums of the band Malice. So there are 3 albums, so it's a short catalog, but 3 very cool albums. I've got the 2 Rock Candy reissues right here. So if you are a fan of this great 80s band that should have been really big, right? Love talking about these bands that should have been enormous and just weren't for a variety of ridiculous reasons. But that'll be coming up next weekend, so stay tuned for that. Here on the channel, also, we've got the return of the Hudson Valley Squares tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about a little bit of history of Roadrunner Records, and we're going to be picking out our favorite albums released on Roadrunner Records over the years. So that's coming up tomorrow. And visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as a post. And please hit that like button before you leave. It's greatly appreciated. We'll see you soon here on Ranking the Albums for Rich Catino, Chad Hutchinson, and Grant Arthur. I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everybody. Take care. Thanks for watching.